Hello everyone, it's Maria here from Pepperly Rose Paper Crafting. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Sydney, Australia. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'd like to firstly thank those that have recently subscribed to my channel and have made beautiful comments on my previous video. I had an overwhelming response with that video and I'm so pleased everyone enjoyed it because I wasn't quite sure that everyone would like that kind of a thing, but I'm going to go with the flow and I'm going to do another similar card, but not exactly the same. I'm going to be using the press on stamp set, and the image I'm going to use today are these gorgeous little coffee cups and the sentiment, a cup of thanks. I'm using that along with the wrapped in texture embossing folders. These both can be found in the holiday mini catalogue. You can find the wrapped in texture embossing folder here. It's so gorgeous, on page 9 of the catalogue. And then on page 68 you can find the press on stamp set. This is gorgeous, I love it. So you can find that from there. And I'm also going to be using today the Tasteful Labels dies. These can be found on page 179 and they do bundle with the Tasteful Touches stamp set, and these are the dies, and quite frankly if you don't want the stamp set you can always just get the dies, and I love these dies. I'm using this particular die here today for this project, so we'll get started on it. What you will need is, this is what I'll be using today, but feel free to change it up. So I'm using crumb cake cardstock. This is half an A4 and I've scored it in half again, and that makes an A6 card base. So that's my favourite kind of card base to use, and by far the most economical for me in terms of taking advantage of my cardstock. Then I've got a layering piece of crumb cake. This goes on top and it's just 1/4 of an inch shorter than the rest of the card base. I'm also using Very Vanilla today. I've got a piece of cardstock that layers on the inside, same measurements as the one in front, and it's 1/4 of an inch shorter than the rest of the card base, so it just layers on inside. And then I have a scrap piece of Very Vanilla, and then I have a scrap piece again of Very Vanilla. Now this is the length of that, so whatever card base you want to use you can adapt this. The only measurement I'm going to give is that this is 3 5/8 inches across, and the reason why that is because I am going to use the dies. This die here, I'm going to stick it on top of this and then I will trim around it, and underneath I'm going to have strips of cardstock. Because I don't have the designer series paper for this kind of stuff, I'm going to make my own, and basically the colours I'm using are Just Jade, Blushing Bride, Early Espresso, Cherry Cobbler and Pool Party, and together I will have strips of Very Vanilla as well. I think this colour combination is absolutely beautiful. So we'll get started on the card, and as you can see here I have scraps of all of those colours, and these are 1/4 of an inch shorter. Okay, these are 1/4 of an inch strips, and since these are offcuts and you have them from previous kind of projects, they're handy to keep and you can make your own designer series paper, so it's a great way of using up all those pieces. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the image on this piece of cardstock here. I'm going to use my Stamparatus because I just find that if I make a mistake I can always go back and fix it, so it's not set in stone, so I quite like that. So I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to stamp those coffee cups, and I'll put that towards the middle of this scrap here so that I can I can work with that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Early Espresso ink. Now, this may be dry. I'm not sure. I think it looks all right. I hope it's not dry. I'm going to stamp that on down there. See, as you can see, that didn't uptake, so I'm going to keep on stamping until I get the desired colour. I'll just press a little bit more towards the edge there. And I'll stamp that edge again, just there, because that cup didn't uptake very well, that image, because it's right on the corner. So I'll just press a little bit harder. And I smudged it, see that? But I'm going to use the other side. It's the only way. Okay, so if that ever happens, just turn it over and start again. So I'll just quickly use my chamois. I'm going to bring in my, what's it called? I'm so sorry, I'm lost for words. This is just terrible of me. But I'm going to use my microfiber cloth and just dry that off so that I don't get that image destroyed. So let's start that again. So let's start that now. Do that again. And I think this time it will actually stamp a lot better. So this is Early Espresso ink. And that stamped a lot better. So anything that's kind of really close to the edge of the Stamparatus doesn't generally stamp very well. But yeah, I don't know, you can work it out. I can also add a piece of foam, which I've done before too, and that works as well. Just a small piece of foam to stamp on the edge. Okay, and then I'm going to get another scrap piece of Very Vanilla. And I'm going to stamp these images again because I want to cut them out. Oops, that's a scrap piece there we will use later for colouring. And I'll just scrap this 2 times. I'm going to stamp this a couple of times because what I want to do is make them 3D. So that's 1. That's perfect. All right, so I'll give that a little bit of time for it to dry off. Dry that off. I love the Stamparatus. See how you can just lift the lid and go down? That makes it really, really easy. Now, with this one again here, I'm going to use the sentiment, A Cup of Thanks. So I'll just put that towards the middle there. Okay, I think that's about right. Okay, and I'll stamp that again in Early Espresso. Yep, Early Espresso there. And with the skinnier stamps, don't press overly hard. And there you have it. That looks like it's smudged a bit, so I'll let that dry and then I'm going to get rid of that with my mono sand eraser later on. Okay, so I'll put the Stamparatus away because I don't really need it anymore. And what I'm going to do next is basically I'm going to attach all the strips onto that 3 5/8 inch strip of cardstock there. I'll make sure I have the right one, so I don't want to muck that up. Yep, that's the right one. So what I'll be doing now is I'll be attaching the strips of colour, and then when I'm done, I'll speed this up, and then we're going to make this, finish this off. Yeah, sorry about my words. Just finished putting on the strips of cardstock, and I totally forgot to put the early espresso because I think it would have looked really nice. So I don't know if I should put it in or not. I'm kind of thinking about just putting it in between to kind of add like an accent piece, colour in between the whatchamacallit, the pool party and the very vanilla. I am so sorry, I'm lost for words. What I'm thinking of doing maybe is cutting this in half and maybe act like an accent strip just to break it up a little bit, because I think that this colour would work really, really well. So what I will try and do is cut this into 1/8 of an inch. So I'll wish myself good luck on that one because I don't know if I will be able to do it, but I will certainly try, because that would be a really interesting colour to do. So I'll just eyeball this and make that go in the middle there. Just oh. And I think that turned out pretty good. I'll see if I can trim this down a little bit just to make it a bit more even. I think that turned out okay. So I'll just add that in between I think I'll add it between these two here instead of that accent piece. Make this go up there. So now what I will do is trim off all of those bits and pieces on this panel here. So I'll just, this looks like this. It's a bit of a mess. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out with this die. And so I'm going to bring up my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I love this thing. It works so beautiful. Just love it. Okay, so I'll bring my number 1, number 2. I'm using an old cutting pad, but that's number 2. And then I've got, sorry, that's a number 3, and this is another number 3. So I'm going to put this on here. And I'll just make sure it's nice and even on either side. pop that through the machine. That turned out absolutely beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? Then I'm going to take out this bottom plate. I'm going to put my number 3 here. And I'm going to emboss that panel with the, what's this called? Wrapped in Texture embossing folder. And I'm going to use this one over here. I quite like the pattern on that one. So I've just embossed that. So there's a bit of a line down the middle, but I don't mind. Okay. This is going to get covered up in any case. So what I'll do is I'll just trim around the top part here. So I'll just trim all around this part. Bottom of this because that's not quite even, but I think that looks great. I like this a lot. I think that looks really cool. Or I might just trim off a little bit more and just give it a little bit, yeah, I'll trim this a little bit more down the bottom so it's not so big. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So just bear with me, I'll just grab my guillotine. Stick this now onto the cardstock. That part's now done. This is going to take a lot longer than what I thought, but sometimes my vision just doesn't work out the way I planned it, and sometimes it works out even better. So I think this is still okay. So what I will do now is I'm going to colour in these images here of the coffee cups. I'm going to colour these in, and I'm also going to colour and cut out the top of the coffee cups as well. So I'm just going to make them more 3D. So what I'll be using is my watercolour pencils. Okay, these are my Faber-Castells, but feel free to use whatever watercolour pencils you have, or your alcohol markers, whatever you want, use them. Have fun with this. So I'm just going to colour with the similar colours to this. So I've got my going to do now is that I've coloured all of the cups because I am going to cut them out individually, and then I'm also going to cut out the tops of the cups. So I'll get to that now. Okay, so as you can see, I've just finished cutting the lids off and the cups. I'm not going to lie, this is a fiddly card. However, I feel that it's well worth it to get that lovely effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my pencils away. So what I'm going to do with these coffee cups is I'm going to put them up on dimensionals. Going to do that. I'm actually just going to stick them on top, and that way it'll then provide a more 3D effect. So I'll just leave that to the side, and I'll just grab my tweezers. I'll be back in a second. Has a little bit of dimension. It's a really minor detail, but I really think it just adds a little extra something special to this card. Yeah, I thought I'd try something different. I'm not sure if you guys will like it or not, but thought it was worth giving it a go. So I'll pop this away, and what we'll do now is we'll just stamp for the inside of the card. I'm going to use Early Espresso on this. So panel here, so I'll just bring back my Stamparatus. And I'll leave this bottom, I want to leave the bottom of that, because that's my extra foam piece that I use to elevate this up for when I stamp close to the edges. So we'll use that now. This is not something that Stampin' Up sells, but I'm just going to add these coffee cups towards the bottom, like that, and a little bit off the page. And I'll use my Early Espresso ink for that. And that turned out absolutely perfect this time. So, yay for that. Dry that stamp off. And then that is it with the stamping. And I'll just now glue this insert in. So I'm just going to glue it just along the edges. And this is a little trick too. If you happen to make a mistake and you need to take this off, if you glue just along the edges, when it's time for you to pry this off, you don't have to worry about the middle. So that's what I do. That's why I glue along the edges, because if I make mistakes, and I have done that many times, it's easier for me to just use the edge, and then you can easily put another sheet on top of that without destroying your whole card. So yeah, so that is my finished card for today. I hope you like it. It's a fiddly card, so I'm not going to lie, it is a fiddly card, but I think it has a beautiful, it's really cute, and I like the colours that I use, so I just went ahead and did my own DSP, and I think it turned out really lovely. So that's just a close-up, and I love the texture of the embossing folder. That's one of two, so you get one that looks like that, and then you have one that looks more like dots. See that? That'll look beautiful. And I love these embossing folders. This is a nice cute little find in the mini catalogue, holiday mini catalogue, or just the mini catalogue, whatever you want to call it. And I love these embossing folders, so cute. And you couldn't tell that there was a line down the middle because of what I did there. So yeah, and if you have these strips of cardstocks available, don't throw them out, use them on your cards, and they provide a really nice effect. And I like that really thin strip too of the early espresso. That adds a really nice touch to that colour combination. It's just a nice warm colour. So I hope you like it. So if you want to purchase any of the products you've seen today, they're all available in my online store at pepperlyrosepapercrafting.stampinup.net, and the Tasteful Label dies are a must, I think. They're a wonderful set of dies that you can use for absolutely everything. So just wanted to let you guys know too that if you have any questions or you have any feedback to give me, I'll be more than happy to receive that. Just leave a comment below, or you can contact me through my online store at pepperlyrosepapercrafting.stampinup.net. If you're new to Stampin' Up, the Copic marker and the watercolour pencils are not available through my online store. They can be bought elsewhere. This is the supplies I'm using for myself, but feel free to use your alcohol markers or any other kind of colouring tool you may own. So this is a flexible design. So I hope you like it. Thanks for watching and taking the time out of your day to do so. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Bye for now.